We're live on one. Live on the other one.
Yeah?
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 Alrighty. Welcome to episode 212 of the F and Marks podcast. I am the hairless one today.
You're brainless still, too, I'm sure.
Well, that's 24/7, 365 since April of 83. I've been brainless. But today, I'm hairless. We have quite a bit to get into for episode 212. We have a pay-per-view tomorrow night for AEW called Revolution. We have a new WWE champion. Paul Wight, FKA The Big Show, has teased some huge signings in AEW and other news and notes worthy of professional wrestling this week. But I think the most important topic that we need to check on today is the health and well-being of the brainless co-host of the F and Marks podcast.
Yeah. How are you after last weekend's show?
I was in a lot of pain still on Saturday after last week's show. I just, and basically, instead of just like keeping it the way it was, I just got rid of everything. I'm like,
oh, okay.
Shake it all off.
You know what? Start with a fresh.
And I'll tell you, it's been very itchy because everything's growing back on my chest. So I will tell you right now, as much as I like doing these stupid human tricks, I will never wax my chest or do anything shaving wise with my chest ever again.
All right.
But
lesson learned. Good life lessons from the F and Marks podcast.
And most importantly, I can't stress this enough. My dad grounded me for 2 weeks. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he commented on that because Nicole shared it and everything. So, but you know what? I did it all for y'all. I'm glad everybody had a great time. Everybody enjoyed it. Everybody I talked to, everybody, my buddies were all talking about how funny it was and how great it was and what kind of a person I was. I know you had a great time watching that shit last week. Probably a top 5 favorite episode for you last week.
It was a lot of fun watching you get tortured.
Yeah. Yeah?
But you brought it upon yourself.
As a great man once told me in one of my old jobs, I did it to myself. Yeah. 5 words to live by.
What's up, Mike? Thanks for tuning in.
What's up, Mike? But yeah, so that's all I have for the update for last week. I'm still growing my chest hair back, so it'll be a lengthy process. Yes, the wall is back, baby! Woo! I missed this wall. I had nothing to punch last week. Shit. So what do you want to get into first, other than the brainless, hairless situation?
You know what? Let's get into some Monday Night Raw and our new WWE champion.
The one thing I'm going to say about this, because I have a major problem with how they did it. I just, because they had the Elimination Chamber where Bobby Lashley beat the shit out of Drew McIntyre at the Chamber, and then The Miz came in and cashed in on Drew McIntyre to become the WWE champion. Then Bobby Lashley was like, hey, I'm next in line, so I should get a title shot. The Miz fucking avoided it last week, so this week he had no choice but to defend it. He tried getting out of it in very nefarious ways, and he said that he was having some stomach issues, and then Adam Pearce was like, well, I'm going to give you some time to go out there. Well, then they finally have the title match, and The Miz gets counted out. Very nefarious. The chicken shit heel role is the perfect role for The Miz. Then we finally had a title match, and lo and behold, we have a new WWE champion, Bobby Lashley. The outcome, I have no issue with at all. I've been talking about it for months. You've been talking about it for months. Bobby Lashley deserves a WWE championship at the end of the day. He is busting his ass. He is doing his best work right now, and working with MVP in the Hurt Business has done a great thing for him, considering that he came from having a horrible, horrible storyline with Lana and Rusev and Liv Morgan and all that stuff to become the WWE champion. My issue that I have here is you had a heel take the championship from a face, and then a heel goes after that heel champion and demands a title shot. And then the heel beats the heel to become champion, and what we're probably going to end up getting is the champion who lost the title at Elimination Chamber, Drew McIntyre, is going to be fighting Bobby Lashley, the heel who just won the title from another heel at WrestleMania. The booking is terrible. I just like the outcome.
I thought it was a fun little cat and mouse game that they were playing on Monday. Miz doing his Miz best. The thing with Lashley, it was like, he didn't lose. He didn't get pinned at Elimination Chamber when he lost his title, and there was a deal made. He didn't demand this thing because, hey, I should be champion. No, we made a deal. I was going to get the first title shot. And Miz doing his thing where he says, hey, let's main event WrestleMania, you and me, for the WWE title. It's like,
I also feel like the Miz deserved better than an 8-day title reign.
I don't remember if it was during 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I specifically said I didn't think Miz was going to cash in, but if he cashed in, he would be like a one-day champion,
transitional champion.
I saw that. It was in the cards. I love the Miz. Right now, he is not WrestleMania main event level, unfortunately. And that's because of the crappy booking they've done with him and Morrison for the last year. It's like they've been up and down where I either think they're entertaining or that they're booked so poorly. Like, how can I legitimately think that the Miz could defend the title against a guy like Drew McIntyre because I saw Drew McIntyre more or less beat him and Morrison? I think technically Miz and Morrison won, but
my whole thing is like, again, I'm happy for Bobby Lashley. This is 16 years in the making since he debuted in WWE, and now he's finally getting the chance as WWE champion after he was one of the main event caliber guys. I mean, hell, at WrestleMania in the Battle of the Billionaires, he was Donald Trump's pick to be the wrestler to go up against Vince McMahon's choice of Umaga.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Bobby Lashley, and again, heel Bobby Lashley is 100 times better than face Bobby Lashley. And like him with that stupid shit-eating grin on his face when he was feuding with Sami Zayn a couple years ago, where Sami Zayn came out with Bobby Lashley's sisters and was making fun of Bobby Lashley. It's like, you know what? I'm like, if I was a wrestler and somebody was going out there making fun of Michelle, you think I'd be going out there, my music hitting, and I'm smiling and acting like everything is okay? No, I'm going out there with a bat or a freaking chair and I'm taking somebody's head off.
Sure.
But again, I enjoy Bobby Lashley's work the last few months. I am very happy that he's getting this opportunity. Now, I know like we've been talking about this with the wait and see approach before we react to certain things, but I'm telling you right now, if it's looking a lot like it's going to be Bobby Lashley defending the title against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and if Drew McIntyre wins the title from Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, I'm going to think the whole Money in the Bank situation was a waste and Bobby Lashley's reign was a waste. Because all you want to do is just make Drew McIntyre look good, look strong and like he's the champion and he deserves to win it in front of the fans. And that's how you're going to get the fans to turn on Drew McIntyre.
I think you discussed this, or we discussed this last week. The fans are going home happy from WrestleMania, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Edge and Roman Reigns as the main event, and that's why you believe what you believe for who's going to win that match. I can't say I disagree that it's going to be Lashley and McIntyre. Lashley did an interview, I think it was it wasn't ESPN, it was some other outlet where they asked him top 3, who would you want to face at WrestleMania this year? McIntyre was the top of his list. Lesnar was number 2 on his list. I forget who the third was, but I think he brought up a whole bunch of names, but he specifically said McIntyre. That's probably what's going to happen. I'm wondering, last year I think they were going to. Was that Boston? I was going to say, I think they were going to attempt to try to have SummerSlam in like some sort of baseball stadium, I think.
It was SummerSlam in Boston, and they wanted to have it at Fenway Park.
If they're trying to have a large crowd like that, Lesnar and Lashley, to me, would be a match that I would want to see to try to sell that house. And this summer, hopefully in this country, we'll be able to have more free movement and more people at events like this. And maybe that's when we could see somebody like Brock Lesnar. I don't think Brock would end up going through a whole bunch of stuff just to wrestle in front of nobody again.
Well, my whole thing is, and like I did, and Chris mentioned it, like I should have seen what he posted a couple hours ago. I did actually see what he posted because I actually read it on a couple of things where Vince McMahon, within like the last day or so, has said that all the plans that they have heading into WrestleMania up until about either yesterday or today are getting changed completely. They're going to just revamp the entire card. They want WrestleMania to be bigger than what they had already said. So all the original plans that they have going now are going to change, which means to me, Roman Reigns is not going to be just fighting Edge. I got a feeling that one of the things they're going to do with that is it's going to be Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan in the main event on Sunday night for the for the Universal Championship. I'm starting to think that they're doing something crazy with Bobby Lashley. And for me, it's because of the fact that the Big Show did come out on Wednesday. I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit. The Big Show did come out on Wednesday night on Dynamite and said that WWE, or I'm sorry,
AEW.
I'm sorry. I'm so used to the Big
We're on
Show.
the all elite marks page.
Yeah, but Jay, how long was the Big Show part of WWE?
Since 1999.
I mean, he was there for like a bajillion years. When he was there, I wasn't even old enough to drive a car. I apologize. Yes, he is. I meant to say AEW, but at Revolution tomorrow, Big Show said that a Hall of Fame worthy person is going to debut for AEW tomorrow night. And it got me to think. They're going to make a big deal about this. And now that Vince McMahon is talking about plans are changing completely for WrestleMania, and he wants the show to be bigger than it could be, I'm starting to think that the person who's going to come out tomorrow is Brock Lesnar. Because we talked about it last week. Who is the least loyal person to WWE?
Brock Lesnar is pretty much not super loyal.
Because what is Brock Lesnar going to do? He's going to go where?
Well, he wants money and he wants to do something that he feels will make an impact.
Yes, I would like to see, as much as I would love to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar in an actual fight, like a UFC-esque fight, like they did with Steve Blackman. No, I'm sorry, Ken Shamrock and Owen Hart back in the day in the Lion's Den. Yeah. I would love to see something like that. But I would also love to see Brock Lesnar and AEW going up against guys like Lance Archer and guys like Brian Cage and Carl Hobbs and a lot of these big meatheads that they have over there that would be like, holy shit, this is Brock Lesnar. Hell, I'd love to see Brock Lesnar go up against John Moxley instead of Dean Ambrose. I mean, hell, could you imagine Kenny Omega getting F5 27 times against Brock Lesnar? I'd pay great money to see that. I'd love to see Brock Lesnar break Kenny Omega's arm. I would pay a 1 year's salary to see Kenny Omega get his arm broken by Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry, I hate that dirt face. I'm just, spoiler alert, I don't like Kenny Omega. I still think he is the most overrated in the history of the industry. He looks like a derp, and I'm just sorry. But I'm thinking that, but anyway, to go back to my original point, I'm starting to think that Brock Lesnar's coming out tomorrow, and that's why Vince is going to throw out the entire playbook for WrestleMania.
Interesting. All right. One thing that happened online today is there was a teaser video that Kurt Angle posted about possibly putting the boots back on.
Because ever since the Big Show came out on Wednesday and said what he said, a lot of people are speculating, like, who's it going to be? Because it's a Hall of Fame caliber, which means it's somebody who hasn't been in the Hall of Fame yet. Then Tony Khan yesterday was on a podcast. Male. He said it was a male, and he announced who his Rushmore was. And his Rushmore consists of Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Chris Jericho. That's 4 impressive names, and I can't argue those 4.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve Austin is not going anywhere. Steve Austin's got that Legends contract. He's got his Broken Skull sessions. He's not going anywhere. Bret Hart, I mean, yes, it'd be great name-wise, but what's Bret Hart going to do? Bret Hart can't do anything. Chris Jericho's already there, and The Undertaker is the most loyal. He's the exact opposite of Brock Lesnar.
Well, The Undertaker has a contract until he's 70. So...
Which is still younger than when Ric Flair is. Whose contract runs out first, The Undertaker's or Bobby Bonilla's?
I actually have to think about that. I think it's Bobby Bonilla by a smidge.
Which is funny too, because you know how the kid Tatis just signed that contract for the Padres. When his 14-year contract's up, the Mets still have to pay Bobby Bonilla for 1 more season. Anyway, but yeah, again, I'm happy for Lashley. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this, especially now that Vince is like throwing out the entire playbook for WrestleMania 37.
One thing that was interesting for Raw, the McIntyre-Sheamus singles match that I figured was going to end up at Fastlane or something else, was on Monday Night Raw. I enjoyed the heck out of the fight they had.
That was a great match.
And it was. It's the match I was hoping to see.
That was pay-per-view caliber. I mean, hell, that was WrestleMania caliber. That was one of the best matches I've seen on Raw, period. Ever. I enjoyed it. And you know me, I'm a huge Sheamus fan. And those two beat the holy hell out of each other. It was a great match. I loved it. I loved the ending.
Yeah.
Kudos to both of them for having such a great match.
Yeah. It was a shameful thing that somebody had to lose.
Lobster head.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Beyond that, on Monday Night Raw, we had your favorite, Nia Jax, going against Naomi.
That's all you. I don't want to talk about Nia Jax at all during this entire
No, I just wanted to bring her up so you could get fired up. That's all.
The fact that, you know what really kills me too, Jay, is the fact that with her being the tag team champions for the women, she's on all 3 fucking shows now. And it's like more fucking Nia Jax. And last night on SmackDown, with that whole little segment she had with Reginald, I wanted to throw up all over myself. I can't with Nia Jax. And this is how, you guys all know how much I hate Kenny Omega. If I had my choice of eliminating one person from being a professional wrestler in all wrestling, it'd be Nia Jax.
Kenny Omega's second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be Kenny Omega second. And then Kevin Owens third.
All right.
I can't stand Kenny Omega. I can't. I told Nicole what I want to have happen tomorrow during Revolution. I don't even know if I could share it on the podcast. That's how bad it is.
I can only guess knowing where your brain goes.
The man who was once deemed a HR nightmare has a prediction for the
still deemed an HR nightmare.
I can't be mad about it. The pipe cleaner and the pipe cleaner.
One storyline I am not at all interested in at all that appears is going to be a WrestleMania match is Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. I know Shane is willing to do anything and everything to entertain the crowd, but I just don't. There's somebody different for Braun to have a match with, but this is who they've chosen for him to have a match with.
It's a shame too, because we're a year removed from Braun Strowman fighting for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania last year, and now he's fighting against Shane McMahon this year. This is kind of like the same thing they did years ago when The Miz went from main eventing WrestleMania against the golden child, the professor of WWE, and John Cena. And then the following year, he was in a match where he was part of Team Johnny in the People Power against Team Teddy. He ended up getting the win, pinning Zack Ryder, but still. I mean, that's the type of drop-off we're talking about here with Braun Strowman. But
Or King Kong Bundy going from the main event of WrestleMania 2 to killing Little Beaver.
allegedly killed Little Beaver. He killed Little Beaver. That kind of disqualified, didn't it? Because he dropped the leg drop on freaking Little Beaver.
Yeah, that disqualified him, and then even the dwarf wrestlers on King Kong Bundy's team got upset with him. But truth, Little Beaver did die a couple of months later, and they say that it might have had a little bit to do with what happened at WrestleMania 3. But I mean, that was all planned.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a guy that small, taking a body slam from, King Kong Bundy.
Yeah. One thing is, since we're talking about Braun Strowman, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it's him and Adam Pearce are fighting for the tag team championships against the Hurt Business, if I'm not mistaken.
They had a match this week on Raw for the titles, and Strowman went crazy saying, "All right, Pearce will be my partner, but if he does anything to screw me out of this match," and Braun hit the power slam, looked like they were about to win the titles, and Pearce tagged himself in and was going to go and get the pin, and then he got himself, he took the small package and got pinned. And then we had a Strowman-tism. It was like you watched The Great Gatsby or something.
I don't even think we could even like go into our souls and have the sound of Braun Strowman having a tism. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the sound he makes in the beginning of his roar. That's the sound of a Braun Strowman tism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, so Hurt Business did defeat Braun and Adam Pearce.
Yeah?
Yeah. We had Elias on here, and he talked about getting snubbed for a Grammy, and then it involved Bad Bunny.
That's what they should have done. I mean, it really looks like they were trying to do this Bad Bunny teaming up with Damian Priest to go up against The Miz and John Morrison, which is why I'm convinced The Miz lost the title in the first place, that he shouldn't even have won. But they should have just done Bad Bunny versus Elias. I mean, that's just it writes for itself.
It does. But we ended up with Damian Priest going against Elias, and Damian Priest goes over. Damian Priest has been undefeated since he's come to the main roster.
And I'll tell you right now, he's going to get a lot of TV time because WWE wants to put a lot of TV time on Bad Bunny, which is pissing off a certain employee of WWE because now he has to concentrate more on Bad Bunny and less on none of the fans in the crowd.
Right.
I'm not trying to insinuate anything from a man who's built more dams than the entire country.
Damn.
But I just that would have made more sense to do Bad Bunny versus Elias.
Sure.
What do I know?
And the shocker of the night, Charlotte Flair says she wants to win the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. But we don't know, honestly, exactly what's going on with Asuka. She got her tooth kicked out by Shayna Baszler, and they're not saying anything. But when they don't say anything about other things that are going on, it's usually a concussion.
Yeah.
She got kicked pretty damn hard.
Yep. Charlotte Flair asked for a WWE Raw Women's title shot. And another surprising news, the sky is blue, grass is green, and I'm still brainless.
And Kenny Omega is still your favorite. I'm surprised. I hope Tony Braun Snow gets on here and Omega's you. Maybe he'll tune in just in time for when we talk about Revolution.
No. I don't want to be Omega today.
All right. Then my favorite not favorite. Lucha House Party. I really dislike the Lucha House Party. I enjoy the performers themselves, but the Lucha House Party, it's like break them up. They're terrible. But they teamed up with the original Bro, and they went against Slapjack, T-Bar, and Mace. And shockingly, Retribution lost. Mustafa Ali goes bonkers, and all of this decides that he's going to show his troops how to do things. And he went against Matt Riddle in a non-title match. If you want to have a champion lose in a non-title match, this was actually the way to do it. I don't agree with champions losing, especially cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Riddle lost to Mustafa Ali, and it wasn't clean. He ended up getting hit like 2 or 3 times, but I think Slapjack hit him, and so did T-Bar.
And the fact that he wrestled in a match before he fought Mustafa Ali makes more sense. I
at least felt like this was not the
prototypical bullshit.
Yes.
Okay.
So like this is the least offensive or least offensive champion losing in a non-title match.
The only way it would have been more offensive if it was Slapjack that beat Matt Riddle.
Right. That would have been great.
God damn this wall. This poor wall is gonna be peppered with freaking. You're gonna think like Andy Bernard was doing the podcast and not the brainless one. That hurt.
Chris, we'll see what happens with Asuka. Hopefully she will be back in time. Hopefully they don't strip her of the title. But if they do, I've been speaking about it for, a couple of months at this point. There's nothing saying that Becky Lynch isn't going to be returning soon. My guess is right now, since they haven't really put her on any storyline, she'll be coming back the Monday after WrestleMania. But if, Vince McMahon just, set fire to everything that they've been planning, it's possible that they could call an audible and get Becky Lynch back early.
That's my whole tinfoil hat theory that I just said earlier. But speaking of the Raw Women's Championship, I did read earlier this week online that the original plan for Elimination Chamber was Lacey Evans was supposed to win the title from Asuka, which was going to lead to her and Charlotte at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. See, I have 2 problems with that. Number one, as happy as I would have been for Lacey Evans to win the title and for her to get an opportunity like that at WrestleMania, we all know that she was going to lose to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and probably Rick was going to cost Lacey the title instead of costing Charlotte to win. But my biggest issue I would have had was they would just fuck Asuka over once again at WrestleMania.
And right now with the booking possibility of Charlotte going against Asuka, I just don't love it because they already fought at WrestleMania a couple of years ago. She beat the undefeated streak. Unless they're going to have Asuka go over this time at WrestleMania, no thanks.
My favorite part was the fact that Peyton Royce's mom responded to Charlotte and said, "Hey, maybe somebody else should have an opportunity." I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I just and look, and I have no personal issues with Charlotte Flair as a performer. Charlotte Flair's I'll keep saying this on this podcast. Charlotte Flair is still one of the top 5 performers in the entire company. Not even just of the women. She is one of the top 5 performers in the company. She's arguably the best woman performer in the entire world. So I have no problem with her as a worker. I think that it's time for other people to have opportunities. You can't just keep beating the same dead horse over and over again.
The thing with Charlotte, she was out for several months, and her returning storyline was to win the title for the women's tag team titles.
Mm-hmm.
When she showed up the other day on Raw, the graphic says 12-time women's champion. How is she already a 12-time champion? She's going to pass out her dad in, like a month.
Yeah.
But
I'm still hoping for 3 more title reigns for Randy Orton. 3 more Randys.
Speaking of Randy Orton, he got interviewed this week on Raw and talking about the whole Alexa Bliss thing. And then you had like demonic Randy Orton show up. It was interesting. And regular Randy Orton looking at demonic Randy Orton looked like he was about to throw up again. So we'll see how they continue this storyline. We still have seen no signs of Bray Wyatt anytime recently, and we just have Alexa Bliss keeping on distracting Randy Orton from attaining the goals Randy Orton has.
Yes. And I agree, Chris. Charlotte does know how to play the backstage politics better than just about anybody in that locker room. And I really don't want to ask Triple H because Triple H played it better than any human being ever because he's fucking Vince's daughter. Although what Triple H is doing in NXT is great. So I'll give him a pass for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I love NXT. I love NXT to death.
All right, so that was Raw. We'll hit on a couple of things on SmackDown. So with SmackDown, Daniel Bryan came out and talked about how he kind of wanted to wreck the plans for WrestleMania that the tribal chief had set up and wanted to make his own thing, and brought up how he took that test where it says, hey, he really doesn't have like a lot of ambition. But Daniel Bryan says he loves doing this. This is what he was born to do. And he just doesn't get that feeling from Roman Reigns. And so part of this week's SmackDown was Daniel Bryan going against Jey Uso in a cage. And if Bryan won, he gets a match with Roman Reigns at Fastlane. If he wins the title at Fastlane, then
it'll be Daniel Bryan versus Edge. That'd be so stupid. I think it's going to end up being a triple threat, if I'm being honest.
Well, if I'm being honest, when it comes to the WWE title, it almost feels like we could end up with a fatal four-way at this point, with all the different parties involved. Triple threat could happen for the Universal title, but I would still prefer to see a singles match.
Me too.
But they have 2 3-hour of 2 3-hour days of WrestleMania to fill.
And now that there's been talk that they're considering, because they're going to do an NXT takeover, I guess Thursday night before WrestleMania now, and they're also talking about maybe having that being 2 days long, so started on Wednesday and then finishing up on Thursday, which means the possibility of the NXT Championship now being defended at WrestleMania, which is what I really wanted to see, Finn Balor and Adam Cole on WrestleMania. It looks like we're going to end up getting Finn Balor and Adam Cole or whoever he's going to end up fighting at. It's going to end up being at the takeover instead.
Well, we've got Finn Balor versus Adam Cole coming up this week on NXT, if I'm remembering right.
You are 100% correct. Finn Balor basically came out and approached Roderick Strong. Sorry to go into NXT real quick, but basically Roderick Strong came out, was talking his stuff. Finn Balor came out, basically talked all this shit about to Roderick Strong and everything, saying that he wasn't like the guy that any of them are. Basically calling out Roderick Strong for kind of being a bitch. And then he said that he was next week on NXT. He's going to be defending the title against Adam Cole, and that's what we're getting next week.
1 minute, Monsef, we're sorry to hear about your grandmother. Thoughts and prayers for you, dude. As far as anything that you've missed here, we mostly talked Monday Night Raw and touched on a couple other things.
Yeah, sorry for your loss, Monsef. It's very unfortunate to hear that. But yeah, shit, I lost my train of thought.
So when it comes to NXT, you got Balor and you got Cole.
Yeah. Because we were talking about the whole WrestleMania thing and how they wanted to just make this card as crazy as it is, because they're completely throwing out the playbook. Jey Uso earlier this week said that don't be surprised that we'd be getting Jimmy Uso back sooner rather than later. I mean, we've been predicting for a few months now about when Jimmy Uso was going to return from his injury. I think that Fastlane is now. I mean, how many pay-per-views have I said this? Like, oh, I think Jimmy Uso is going to come out. I think Jimmy Uso is going to come out. I think Jimmy Uso is going to come out, and he hasn't come out. So I'm assuming that Fastlane is the best chance because that's your last pay-per-view to build towards WrestleMania. And if you want to do something with Jimmy Uso for WrestleMania, whether it's he and Jay finally have their one-on-one match that they talked about they want to do at WrestleMania, or if they fight as a tag team, or whatever you're going to do, you got to do it. You got to pull the trigger before it gets too late.
It could simply just be that Jimmy helps Tribal Chief win at WrestleMania. No. Yeah. All right. So we had King Corbin have a match against Montez Ford. So part of this whole thing, Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin as a team where Corbin doesn't want to have anything to do with Zayn, and Street Profits talking about how Ziggler and Rude are ducking them, but they're going to earn their way back to getting a title shot. But they had a couple of singles matches here, and shockingly, we had Baron Corbin go over on Montez Ford.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with having a guy like Corbin win every once in a while. With Corbin, he's kind of like mid-card. I almost feel that like he's kind of above like Intercontinental Champion, but he's not main event level. He's not quite upper mid card, but he's kind of sort of there. So he has to win sometimes. He's beaten Rey Mysterio a couple times. He's beaten Dominic. A year and a half ago had a win or two against Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. So you got to keep him winning from time to time. So having him beat Montez Ford, and so far they have protected his finish beautifully. Yeah. Nobody's kicked out of the End of Days.
If you really want to impress everybody, have him hit John Cena with the End of Days.
Right. We all know that John Cena will kick out.
Of course it is, because it's the thing. Roses are red, violets are blue. No matter how many finishers you hit him with, John Cena will kick out after 2.
Yeah. After that, we did have Dawkins go against Sami Zayn in a match. Zayn did lose, but Zayn after the match, like his hair got so disheveled, and one of the guys who was in his camera crew was like, "I don't recognize you. Who are you? Do you work for the company? You work for the company."
I love Sami Zayn. I do.
He's so good right now.
Monsef just brought up that he make Corbin look like William Regal, like the way like he is built, he's kind of booked.
Well, as far as William Regal goes, I loved when he was king and he was the GM and he would turn the lights off on the crowd. Regal possibly was going to win the heavyweight championship, but Regal had some demons that he was dealing with, as well as enjoying. Well, it's crazy because you saw Regal's build, and he got popped for steroids too.
Yeah. My favorite was, not to change the subject, but it's a hell of a segue. This morning on Instagram, I saw a video. It was when WWE was in Blackpool. William Regal was having a match against Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's already in the ring. Regal's making his way out to the ring, and he's got his real. I love his entrance. His entrance was so badass. But in the middle of the entrance,
the manly man,
he's a man's man. And like when they started playing that entrance to kind of like rib at freaking Regal, he starts busting out laughing on his way to the ring. I laughed so hard. I love that shit. I love it when they do shit like that. And it was just funny because like the people in Blackpool were like, "What the fuck just happened?" But I'm glad that
it broke him out of character.
Yeah, I love this that we actually had a segue to William Regal, because I actually watched that and I wanted to somehow finagle that into the podcast today because I enjoyed that. I watched it like 27 times.
Sure.
He's a man's man.
And one thing that nobody really cared too much for, Carmella officially fired Reginald.
Oh, Reginald! I disagree. So basically, Bianca Belair had a match against Shayna Baszler, and in the match, Bianca Belair went over on Shayna Baszler, and basically Reginald has been kind of getting himself intertwined into this whole Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair storyline. So
and neither of them want anything to do with him either.
And it's a shame. And to make and to add insult to injury for Reginald, not only did Carmella fire him, but Nia Jax said that he was cute. That's what made me throw up last night.
Yeah, in your mouth or like
all
over
the place.
Like Randy Orton.
Yes.
They're like Ultimate Warrior after Papa Shango.
Yes.
Put a spell on him. All right, we had Dominic Mysterio going against Chad Gable. Dominic actually picked up the victory last night. And getting a little retribution. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
For what happened to his pops a couple weeks ago.
And Ray did get involved and had him and Otis kind of gotten intertangled and everything, which led to Ray jumping off the freaking I'm sorry. I'm having a major brain fart right now. Jumping off the ring. How the hell did I forget ring? And hit Otis, and they both like kind of went flying into the table. I thought that was pretty cool. Otis is doing so good with this heel turn. So
he is. That's absolutely true, Munsef. Her hole is bigger than the Grand Canyon. All right, we had Murphy going against Cesaro. So part of this was building up with the Rollins storyline, and Rollins was like getting interviewed, and then Murphy shows up, and Rollins just told him to go away. So it's almost apparently that Murphy is kind of sort of a disciple of Rollins again, maybe, sort of. I don't know. They're not going to bring Aaliyah Mysterio back, so don't worry about that.
Thank God.
But Murphy trying to be like the person in the way of Cesaro before we get Cesaro and Rollins.
I would have much preferred for Rollins versus Cesaro at WrestleMania, but I think we're going to end up getting in that fast lane.
Yeah. Well, with this match, they had Rollins on commentary, and Rollins talking about how many revolutions that he went through and how long he was in the giant swing. And that when Cesaro put it on Murphy, he was saying, oh, this is just trying to get at me. And then put the sharpshooter on her and had Murphy tap out. Honestly, this was, I'm not going to say exactly a squash match, but it was almost a squash match. I think Murphy deserves better, but this is what we got to build up Cesaro and Rollins for whether it's Fastlane or WrestleMania.
Poor Reginald. He's going to probably get stuck in a love storyline with fucking Nia Jax. At that point, I'd just quit. I'd go back to Cirque du Soleil, whatever the fuck it's called.
Cirque du Soleil.
So whatever. Barf, puke, whatever.
Then we had an interesting segment with Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews is now talking with an accent. And he was talking about how the accent is for his heritage. Usually they do away with the accent and he says he's now speaking in his true voice. It's something different. I mean, usually, with Kofi, it was going from the fake Jamaican accent to his regular speaking voice. I think they're going from Apollo Crews' regular speaking voice to
to an accent.
To an accent, so.
Every time I think of Kofi in the old Jamaican accent was when they did the whole New Day thing, when they were going on against the Vaudevillains, and they busted out the cardboard time machine, and they went back to 2009. It looks like it's trouble in paradise. Oh, I love Kofi Kingston.
2009 was a good year for me.
Wait, no, I don't want to leave. Yeah, that was still one of my favorite things. I mean, the whole old day.
The whole day was one of the worst segments in Raw history.
But I mean, the whole time machine thing was actually fucking entertaining, if anything.
Sure.
I enjoy that because I love stupid shit.
Right.
Stupid funny. I'm sorry, stupid funny.
No, I get you.
If it's stupid like the old day thing, or Bobby Lashley's sisters, or Katie Vick, or the hand that Mae Young gave birth to, that was Mark Henry, and all that stuff, that's stupid. I don't find that entertaining.
So there are a couple of comments here. Chris kind of talking about Cruz taking credit for all the email scams about people from Africa trying to get money from you. WWE's gone in worse directions than that. Sad to say, but they have. All right, in today's society, would they make Apollo's gimmick a race issue? You know what? I would say before they were a publicly traded company, I would say they would. Now that they've been a publicly traded company for a while, I'm going to say they probably won't touch that. There might be outside groups that start talking about things like that, but I don't think they're going to go there. I mean, back in the early to mid 2000s, they who is the terrorist character?
Oh, shit. Oh.
But basically,
Muhammad Hassan.
Muhammad Hassan,
an Italian, who played it
so good in that role. He did exactly what WWE wanted, had so much heat for that role, but the network was like, you have to get rid of this.
Yeah. And
more or less since then, I don't think they've really done much as far as that goes.
I mean, hell, they fired Daniel Bryan because he choked Justin Roberts with his tie because it was too close to what, with Benoit. Edge, when they kind of did that thing where him and Orton had their match at WrestleMania last year, and Edge was kind of like in the freaking weight bench, which is how Chris Benoit killed himself. I mean, people were up in arms about that. I can't see them doing that now. Maybe 20 years ago, yeah, I could see it happening, but now, no.
There's an awful lot of sensitivity out there.
Yeah, let's not get
so,
that.
Beyond that, we had Daniel Bryan going against Jey Uso in a cage match. Really entertaining. One thing I enjoyed about this presentation was Corey Graves going to the ring beforehand, talking about how performers go in there and know they leave a piece of them in the ring every time they do that. I know sometimes they do that on commentary, but having him in the middle of the ring talking about that, then talking about how Kevin Dunn put somebody on the Outlook cam up above the ring with a camera so they could get a different angle of what was going on in the ring, in case you need different angles of how the dam's being built up. So I enjoyed that aspect of the presentation. I enjoyed the heck out of this match, and they had the right person win, but we keep on seeing this match a lot in the last few months. Jey Uso, Roman Reigns is a tribal chief, so they always put Jey Uso in the way, but Jey Uso, like with a lot of these matches, loses. And the tribal chief did specifically say that he would be very upset if his cousin lost, and it would be humiliating to the family. So I think we're going to see Jey Uso get his butt kicked on SmackDown next weekend, or next Friday. And that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah. I agree. That's going to be the same thing. I had a brainless moment. I'm sorry. I agree. That's going to be what it is. And it does seem like we are getting a lot of Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso, and nothing against the two of them, because it was kind of like that whole thing we said like years ago when it was the New Day versus the Usos and like every pay-per-view, and it's like,
always great.
I mean, it's great. It's great. It's such good shit, pal.
It is.
I really should get that like banner like behind us. It's such good shit, pal. Next to the WrestleMania sign that I want to put in the podcast, so we just both point at the WrestleMania sign.
Well, if you want, next week I could change the graphic.
I'm kidding.
I could change the graphic.
It's fine, Jay. It is fine. I mean, hell, this could be a way for them to bring back Jimmy Uso. I'm just tired of talking about when Jimmy Uso is coming back. Just like I'm tired about talking about when's Bray Wyatt coming back. I'm just tired of talking about the same shit over and over again because WWE has not pulled the trigger on whatever they need to pull the trigger on.
I enjoy the wait and see with Bray Wyatt because he proved to us last time wait and see was the right way to go, even though he was out of action for about a year before he returned. Wait and see for Bo Dallas as non-starter because wait and see is going to be see at the unemployment line. You just got to believe.
What happens if tomorrow night John Cena comes out of AEW Revolution? I think that would break the internet.
We don't know his contractual status with WWE at this point. He has said in the past he will never go to any other company, but we've also heard other performers say the same exact thing and show up at other companies.
Yes.
Now, Cena right now allegedly is still filming a TV show in Canada. Yeah, and getting from Canada to the United States is still tough.
Yes.
Because he would have to, well, he would have to quarantine, I think, in most states, unless he flew to Texas first, which has more or less no mandates. You fly from Texas and then you go to Florida.
You see, Jay, it's a lot harder for other people to get out of Canada to get into the United States, but not John Cena. They can't see him. So he could come from Canada to the United States at any point.
And if Brock Lesnar wanted to come...
he just F5'd the shit out of everybody.
Well, I would say, what if he used Cena as a cloaking device?
Jay, who's going to stop Brock Lesnar from getting into this country? Seriously. Who's going to stop Brock Lesnar? They're going to be like, sorry, Mr. Lesnar, you're not going to be in here. And he's going to be like, you're going to stop me? No. Just walk right here. You go. Right in, Mr. Lesnar. Don't F5 me. Don't break my arm. I don't want to go to Suplex City. I like being here in Toronto.
Right. All right, let's move on to AEW.
I'm thinking of the scene.
We should... Maybe we should do a skit of Brock Lesnar coming to Border Patrol at the U.S.-Canada border. So on our Facebook page, the F and Marks page, we often post about Vince versus Creative. Now maybe we could have Brock Lesnar versus Border Patrol.
The reason I'm laughing is because I could see John Cena just walking through the border because he doesn't think that you can't see me. Just him walking through the border, just whistling. And they're gonna be hey, is that John Cena just walking into the United States like it's nothing? Nah, it can't be. We can actually see him. It's got to be somebody else. I hate the way my brain works.
Your brain can't work if you don't have a brain.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Oh, God. Oh, oh God.
I don't know, Lloyd, if they could come on private flights. I would say another way they could possibly come from Canada into the United States is by boat. They could probably come by catapult, too.
I mean, Homelander could go pick them up. They could shove themselves in a box and have FedEx sent them. Did you want to do NXT really quick and then go into AEW since we're going to be doing the pay-per-view anyway?
I didn't see NXT this week, so if you want to talk NXT, you could go through it. You already talked about Finn Balor, and you talked.
Yeah, I did talk about the Finn Balor and the whole.
We don't need to talk about that again.
There was a couple of points I really just wanted to bring up about what happened at NXT this week. The first thing that came up was they had this thing where they were in group therapy with The Way. That is the stable, in case you didn't know, of Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae,
Indy Hartwell, and Austin
Theory. And thank God he wore different pants this week. I can't get over those pants he wore the other. Oh my God. The one thing that I was really upset about was the fact that Dr. Shelby wasn't their therapist.
Dr. Shelby, for any WWE therapy session, should be the doctor.
But I must say that it was rather entertaining because they kept coming back to it and everything. Johnny Gargano got thrown out of it. There was a point where Candice LeRae was giving her 2 cents about the whole situation because they were talking about Dexter Lumis, and the whole thing was like because of the fact that Austin Theory was kidnapped by Dexter Lumis, and that they think that he was like psychologically screwed up from it and everything. And then there's Indy Hartwell, who's now obsessed with Dexter Lumis and wants to basically have his children, which is kind of weird. Because why would anybody want to have Dexter Lumis' children? But like she's putting herself Mrs. Indie Wrestling Lumis, and I'm like,
I'm just throwing this out there because I was a big horror fan when I was growing up. Is Dexter Lumis related to Dr. Lumis?
I wish. Dr. Lumis is the GOAT of all horror movies. I don't care what anybody says. That is the baddest motherfucker that ever graced God's green earth. I'm sorry.
He stared Michael Myers in the face several times and survived.
A close second is John Kreese. It's the baddest motherfucker on the planet. I'm sorry. Kreese is God.
Right.
But that whole thing, because like Johnny Gargano got thrown out of there, so he's texting Candice and she's saying all this stuff. So the doctor comes up, opens the door, and there's Johnny. So eventually she throws Candice and Indy out of there. So she gets that whole thing with Austin Theory. They try to get to the bottom of it. And then at the end, Johnny Gargano's paying off the doctor. And I'm like, all right, that was kind of a, nobody really saw that coming type of thing. But I love that whole segment. Ever since, I want to say it was James E. Cornette said that Johnny Gargano was not a great character, he has been killing it. I am loving this Johnny Gargano heel turn. I am loving the fact of what they're doing with this, with the way. I am entertained, and I am glad that they're doing it this way.
I think we had that discussion when Cornette said that Gargano was doing what he's been doing now. At that point, Gargano was doing great character work, and Cornette is just an old fool. And
maybe he should have gotten that cardboard time machine and he came back from 1988.
Yeah. It's his wrestling mind's still there, but it's stuck in 1988.
And like Jay said, I think that James E. Cornette is one of the smartest guys in the wrestling industry. He is very knowledgeable. He can tell you about anything and all this stuff. There are aspects of wrestling now that he does enjoy. I mean, he talked the shit out of that Dragunov freaking Walter NXT UK title match. There's guys that are out there now that he really likes. It's just people like Kenny Omega that he hates, and people like
the Young Bucks.
And he hates what Chris Jericho has become and everything. And it's just like, and it's just to a point now where it's like, who's a bigger doofus between James E. Cornette and freaking Dave Meltzer? Right. Dave Meltzer comes out there and says that the worst gimmick of last year was the freaking Fiend, when in actuality it was really the whole Retribution thing. I'm sorry, I don't even know which one of them like upsets me more. I'm going to say it's Meltzer. Just because Meltzer's just sitting there doing this, the freaking the Thunderdome. Anyway, to go back to NXT
Tokyo.
One question I do have to ask you is: ever since this whole thing with Cameron Grimes getting all this money from investing in GameStop and all that stuff, which is actually a true thing. He actually did invest, and he made a shit ton of money off of it. But like he did the week prior where he was like bouncing the basketball like Ted DiBiase, and it just seems like he's going to be do you think ultimately all that money he's gotten, he's just going to piss it away and he's going to be broke by in about a month?
He is.
Oh, I love it.
He's going to end up working for somebody else. He's going to end up working alongside Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah. But I am so entertained by Cameron Grimes. He's funny as shit. I like that guy a lot, and I really do hope that they book him properly. Whatever they do, he's going to win championships wherever he stays, whether he's at NXT or in the main roster or whatever, because he's too fucking talented to not.
One thing with Cameron Grimes that I will say with what he's doing right now, he looks like he is having a blast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And not that it's anywhere near remotely the same, but it reminds me of when Sting had like Joker Sting, where it's like he was always playing that dark character for so long that finally he just like, what if he just went completely mental in a different direction? And Sting looked like he had so much fun doing that because it was something different. And Cameron Grimes doing this is hilarious to me. I love it. So anything else from NXT you want to bring up?
Real quick, Monstep, I don't have that one brain cell died like 12 years ago. So, I mean, it was going years ago. I had to bring that up. The one thing, and it really pissed me off, was we finally got the women's tag team title match. It was Shayna Baszler and that fat hole, Nia Jax, defending the titles against.
Can we just call her Grand Canyon from now on?
How about the Grandy woman? No, that's terrible. I'll come up with a good nickname for that thing. Between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, who won the first ever women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament. Pretty solid match. That whole,
that whole.
Raquel Gonzalez and Nia Jax like getting in the ring because Raquel Gonzalez is not small by any means because she's 6 feet tall, which is taller than me. And, she's built pretty solidly and everything like that. And I was glad that they got this opportunity because Dakota Kai, at the end of the day, deserves it. She's been freaking killing it ever since she turned on Tegan Nox at freaking NXT War Games. She has been a wonderful heel. Her and Raquel Gonzalez are a great team. I'm glad they won that tournament. So they got the tag team title match. Well, at one point during the match, it was near the end of it, actually, Dakota Kai was in the ring with Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler had Dakota Kai in the rear naked chokehold that she has, and she was like trying to fight out of it. Raquel Gonzalez tagged herself in. In the whole process, she ran over to attack Nia Jax, and the referee got knocked out. So, and that led to Raquel Gonzalez and Nia Jax going out into the ring and tackling, she tackled Nia Jax into the table and, they tumbled over and everything, which is crazy because that was twice this week that happened because the same thing happened with Otis and Rey Mysterio. Well, what ended up happening was Adam Pearce shows up with a Monday Night Raw official, and Shayna Baszler puts Dakota Kai back in the rear naked choke, and the Raw referee comes in there and he declares that, Dakota Kai is unconscious. She wasn't a legal wrestler. Raquel Gonzalez tagged herself in. So either you go over there and you count out Raquel Gonzalez, you don't have Dakota Kai tap out. And then, they walk out with the tag team titles. So it left controversy. And yes, I know that now Regal has got a major announcement he's going to make on Wednesday. And I bet you any money we're going to get NXT women tag team titles. And it's all going to be fine because of that. But come on, that's just so fucking stupid. But nevertheless, it happened, and it really left a bad taste in my mouth. Kind of like Nia Jax's hole.
Chris Brown has a WrestleMania related question. Do I feel that there is a greater opportunity for a fatal four-way for the WWE title or for the women's tag team titles? Now, I feel storyline wise, it would make more sense for them to have it for the WWE title. The thing I think is more apt to happen is we're going to have a four-way women's tag team title match because they tend to say, we need to get everybody on the show. How can we get everybody on the show? Okay, we don't care too much about the women's tag team titles, so why don't we just throw all the women there? We don't have, they don't have the Moolah I think memorial match. Like they might have a.
I think they're going to have that this year because
they're not going to call it the Moolah.
No, I know they're going to have the women's battle royal of WrestleMania like they had when.
But that might be on like night one, and they'll need something to fill night two, and
they got Nia Jax's hole.
That'll fill that. No, that doesn't fill anything. It's a hole.
I just wanted to say hole and her hole for whatever
Right.
reason. I just, the only reason I would say that it's more likely, and is it just a WWE title? We talk about WWE or Universal Championship.
And he's saying specifically Fatal 4-Way.
And a Fatal 4-Way. I can see, I think it would make more sense for them to do it for one of those titles, although I really, really don't like multi-person, like major title matches like a triple threat or a fatal four-way. I just don't like it. I think that this should just be one-on-one because that's how it's supposed to be. And especially with the Universal Championship, since Edge won the Royal Rumble, and it should just be the winner of the Royal Rumble going up against whatever champion he chooses. Now, I don't see them doing it with the women's tag title because they just did it 2 years ago. And you're not going to do it. I don't think you're going to do it twice in 3 years because then you're just really like watering down the women's tag team titles. Especially
they don't care about them.
I know they don't care about it. Obviously, they don't care. They don't care about the women's tag team division. And it's going to end up being freaking Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler going up against the Riot Squad, probably going up against whoever else, other tag teams they can pull out of their ass. And another thing, why the hell are freaking Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks fighting for the tag team titles at Fastlane? That's what I want to know. They just had a tag team title match at Elimination Chamber. They lost clean. Why are they getting another chance? Give another team an opportunity. Golly.
But when you don't build up the division, you don't have anybody to go to.
For crying out loud, you can pull. I mean, Natty Neidhart and freaking Tamina Snuka could get the tag team title match. That'd be more entertaining than watching the two women that are going to fight for the SmackDown Women's Championship team up again after losing that opportunity. Tell me that's not stupid booking. Anyway. But that's my 2 cents. I was really pissed off about NXT because of that.
All right.
Cameron Grimes was my favorite part, as was the way and the therapist and everything. And then Nia Jax, just as a whole, just ruined the whole night for NXT. Anyway, let's go to AEW.
All right. AEW this week. This is their go-home show before their Revolution pay-per-view. Usually they were doing it on Saturday nights, but they're doing it on Sunday, and I don't know if they just thought that people are just so attuned and used to shows being on Sunday night for pay-per-views, but they are doing their show tomorrow night, pre-show at 7 Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what it is for everybody else out in the world. I think Greenwich Mountain Time, it's 1 in the morning, or Greenwich Standard Time, I'm sorry. And then the show actually starts at 8. So that's for Revolution. But leading up into that, we had Dynamite this week. And
Dynamite!
We had, at the very start of the show, we had Cody Rhodes with Red Velvet going against Jade Cargill and
the Shaqtus.
Let me tell you something. Shaquille O'Neal impressed the heck out of me.
Shaq looked really good on Wednesday.
You know, giving legit moves, and when he beat the crap out of like everybody in the front row, I freaking loved that. And then at the when he took the bump through the table and acted like he was dead for the next 5 minutes, it was fantastic. He did good.
I love Shaq. I have forgiven Shaq for going to LA.
He did so good.
Yeah, he did. He looked really good. And I'll tell you right now, that Shaq's performance on Wednesday was the big middle finger to Vince McMahon, because they were speculating that there was going to be talk of Shaq versus the Big Show at WrestleMania a few years ago when it was in Orlando, and then it never came to fruition. Shaq went out there. Shaq looked really good. I mean, the paying the homage to freaking Brody Lee and then hitting that awesome power bomb on Cody Rhodes. You can't. I mean, I think Shaq exceeded my expectations, and I was very happy to see him perform the way he did.
Well, and Jade Cargill, she looks like a star. She should be a star, and she was great in this match. She did a moonsault at one point where I'm like, that might be like one of the best moonsaults I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it was very impressive. Everything about this match was great. In the end, Jade ended up pinning Red Velvet, but really, really great match. Lots of just super impressed with Shaq and his level of commitment to doing what he did.
I enjoyed it very much. One thing that I was really surprised about, Jay, I got a quick question before we go into another subject that happened on AEW this week. What year is it?
It is 2021, but yet we had a 67-year-old man in a wrestling match.
Well, I'm not even. I mean, the 67-year-old man doesn't surprise me because I'm convinced that Ric Flair's going to be 137 years old and still trying to, get in the ring and freaking elbow drop his sport coat. But Tully Blanchard made an appearance in a wrestling match in 2021. Let me rephrase that. Tully Blanchard, one of the original he was one of the original four horsemen, right? Tully Blanchard, one of the original four horsemen, back in 1990, whatever, wrestled in a match in 2021. And not only that, who was in the corner during the match for when Tully Blanchard teamed up with
J.J. Dillon.
J.J. Dillon.
And at the end of this match, we had a former horseman, Arn Anderson, looking on kind of disappointingly, I think, unless maybe we're going to get Cody Rhodes in some sort of thing with FTR, and because we had a couple of things happen with this match. As much as I saw a little bit of the internet explode at the end of FTR with Tully going against Jurassic Express and Tully getting the pin, when you watch this match, the way he got the pin, it's like they did the old school spike pile driver, and doesn't matter who you give it to, like you give the spike pile driver, that should be the end of the match. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like Tully was dominant in this match.
We had that one.
He got the pin.
Yeah, I mean, he did have that moment where he hit Marco Stunt with the suplex after he bounced him off the ropes and everything. And kudos to Tully Blanchard for being 67 years old and not looking like a total waste of a human being as a wrestler. I mean, he looked okay. I'm not going to say
considering he was 67. I'm going to say he looked pretty good, and for a guy who has not been in an actual wrestling match in over 20 years, you know what? Good for him. Although in general, I know they used it a little bit to be a re-reveal of Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
So Shawn Spears obviously had issues with Cody Rhodes, so I don't know if this is going to lead to something with Cody down the line, with Arn Anderson being out there, or again, are they going to FTR with Shawn Spears and
Cody be the new
Cody be? Who knows? There are a lot of things that could happen with that.
All I'm going to say is, Jay, is one thing. We got Tully Blanchard. Arn Anderson's also there. J.J. Dillon made an appearance. Eventually, Ole Anderson is going to be coming out there. Because you know what that means when we get Ole Anderson. Guess who else is going to be coming to AEW?
The Black Scorpion.
The Black Scorpion. And if it's not Ric Flair, then if the Black Scorpion comes out tonight and it's Ric Flair, I'm not tonight, tomorrow night, if the Black Scorpion comes out and it's Ric Flair, I will, I don't know, I will probably mark out more.
Hey, if they're talking about Hall of Fame caliber, could it be the Shockmaster?
Norfolk's own.
You don't know. Could it be Psycho Sid? Who knows? With what AEW's been doing lately, I hope it's not one of, as much as I have a lot of love and respect for Kurt Angle, I pray for the love of God that it's not Kurt Angle coming back.
Or Mick Foley.
I would prefer them to sign somebody who's a little bit younger, who has a little bit more life in them as far as a wrestling career. Even if they sign Lesnar's in his 40s. He's not a young dude, but...
I mean, the same thing, because, the other big name that's been floating around a lot is CM Punk. CM Punk hasn't wrestled... he had, that one...
He did a few run-ins.
Yeah, he did a few run-ins over the years, but he hasn't wrestled in an actual wrestling match in over 7 years. When he walked out after the Royal Rumble in 2014. And it's yes, I mean, CM Punk is, by all accounts, going to be a future Hall of Famer. Same thing with the Brock Lesnar. They're both going to be Hall of Famers. Yes, Brock Lesnar coming out would be a giant shock because it's Brock Lesnar, and that would be a big fuck you to Vince McMahon. But who else is out there that's a Hall of Fame caliber? Maybe they're just kind of swerving us, and maybe it's not, because everybody's automatically assuming it's somebody who has ties to WWE.
Now, I'm just throwing this out there too. Did they say Hall of Fame caliber wrestler?
What did the Big Show? Let me see. Can I?
Because if it's just somebody who is a Hall of Fame caliber performer, I mean, Cody Rhodes came out there and talked about Pat McAfee trying to get a job in AEW because they say, oh, Hall of Fame level punter. Or I'm just trying to see if they're trying to swerve us, who would it be? If they're trying to get somebody, if they're trying to get an actual wrestling person, like I really prefer not to see Kurt Angle end up in a wrestling ring again. But, you know, Tony Khan's talking about this person being somebody that's one of his all-time favorites. Again, he didn't specifically say a wrestler. I mean, they're a wrestling company. I would assume it's a wrestler, but they could be messing with us.
Well, I can't find what exactly the Big Show said, but I have this one. AEW signing clues from Tony Khan, Cody, and Big Show Paul Wight. Hall of Fame worthy talent, likely not in yet, is a he, beloved in locker rooms the world over. Multi-year deal will be signed. A man who was very helpful to Cody and people around him, and is one of Tony Khan's favorite wrestlers of all time.
All right. So, I mean, Kurt Angle hits all of those, but like I said, I hope that we're not seeing him wrestling anymore.
Because if we're thinking like outside of actual wrestlers, it's a he, more Ronaldo. Just saying.
Right. All right.
Because one of the names Nicole brought up was Bully Ray. So he's already in the Hall of Fame. Although Bully Ray would make, but he's 50. So it's going to be, and this is going to cause a lot of people talking this way for the next 24 hours or so.
This is really like next level stuff where I'm going to say there is almost a negative percentage chance this happens. What if it was The Rock? The Rock hasn't signed anything with WWE. The Rock talks about AEW. Now, I don't think he would sign a multi-year deal, but I'm just throwing it out there as like the craziest thing I could think of and the biggest star I could think of.
John Cena. John Cena,
I think, is probably still under contract with WWE. The Rock is not.
John Cena would be my way out there tinfoil hat theory of who it's going to be that signs with AEW. It would be John Cena because he would be the one so far out there. I think it's going to end up being, I'll get into that when we get into the predictions this week.
Yeah, we're getting in the weeds too much, and this show's going to go on too long.
No, we don't want that.
All right, so we had a press conference with MJF and Chris Jericho. This was pretty entertaining, where they're continually asked questions that irritate them. A lot about Papa Buck and how he's doing, and have they reached out, and they more or less said they don't care. But you had Eric Bischoff show up, you had Conrad Thompson, and when MJF called him turkey tits, I almost lost my mind. But this was an entertaining segment. You had somebody ask them about Sammy Guevara and if he's ever coming back, and they just lost their mind. He's never coming back. Don't ever bring up that name in front of me ever again. I enjoyed this, but it did a good job of talking about Papa Buck, and Young Bucks end up coming out and talking about how, hey, without Papa Buck and how he taught us to live our lives, we wouldn't be here, and you would be working at so-and-so, and you would be working at so-and-so. Melee ensues. Great stuff to build up for Revolution, to feel more of that like personal hatred and animosity here.
Has there ever been a match in wrestling history that's got the feel that it can end up being like a finger poke of doom situation than it is with this tag team match for tomorrow?
It's not going to be a finger poke.
I know it's not going to be a finger poke of doom because nobody's dumb enough to do that other than WCW. And even then, it actually made sense, and I still love that shit because it was so fucking stupid. That and watching Big Papa Pump hop up and down like a bunny rabbit just irritates me.
Right.
But that match, I think that match has a chance to be something special tomorrow. I mean, because Chris Jericho, because it's the go-to-goats that go to more than goats have ever go to in the history of GoTo.
Sure.
Go. Where? Go. Go.
All right. So we have Nyla Rose was going against Ryu Mizunami for the finals of the Women's Eliminator Tournament. Whoever won this match has a match against Hikaru Shida tomorrow at Revolution.
Thank God.
And Ryu Mizunami ends up going over. She hit Nyla with like the ending move like a whole bunch of times, and clean loss. Seeing Vicky Guerrero do the Vicky Guerrero stream was nice.
Can I channel my inner Michael Cole? Vintage Vicky Guerrero.
But it's nice to see somebody else have a chance here.
I agree. I'm tired of Nyla Rose too.
All right, so then we had Sting come out to the ring.
This is Sting.
And Sting beats down Ricky Starks. Team Taz comes out. You know, super predictable. One thing I'll say about the show, there was a little bit too much of like interference and things like that going on with everything.
The chicanery. A lot of chicanery.
And I don't mind a bit of chicanery, but it shouldn't happen for absolutely everything. But in the end, Darby Allin comes out, makes the save, setting up for the street fight between Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Sting, and Darby Allin. I enjoyed the segment for what it was, but again, a little bit too much of a good thing is not always a good thing.
Right.
So, all right, then I thought this was a strange main event for the show, but they had Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn go against Hangman Page and John Silver. And Hangman Page ends up getting the pinfall. Again, this is setting up for their, what was it, money match?
Yeah.
Where Hardy, this entire match, anytime Hangman Page came in the ring, tagged out, got the heck out of there. It's good to, I guess, from time to time have people not touch before their actual match happens.
Right.
And Matt Hardy kind of being the chicken shit Matt Hardy brand proprietor works well for this. So Hangman going over. We'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, they didn't really do anything about Moxley and Omega. They did talk about, you know,
the exploding ring of death.
That they had a thing talking about how it's going to be a barbed wire instead of ropes. Things are going to explode. And
well, actually, what I found out because Dr. Derp earlier today actually tweeted out what the ring was actually going to be made of. It's not going to be barbed wire instead of the ropes. The barbed wire is going to be wrapped around the ropes. That was the clarification that was made. And then there's going to be explosions set up to go off at certain intervals until they all go off during the match.
Right.
I don't get.
All right, so let's get into this card.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so for the pre-show, we have Riho and Thunder Rosa going against Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel. I think Dr. Britt Baker is the thing. She is going to be the women's division at some point, and this is going to be the start of it. Britt Baker and Rebel win, but this will continue the issues with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker.
Until Thunder Rosa goes back to NWA. I agree, though.
All right. And I guess we can mention that, too. NWA Power is officially coming back.
I know. Corey did a dance.
And I believe they're starting taping like now and new episodes in a month, and they have the pay-per-view, I think.
A couple weeks. Not next week, but the week. I think it's the 21st. They have a pay-per-view.
All right. So then they have a casino tag team royale, and there are 15 teams, so I'm not going to go crazy naming off every team within this. Lloyd brought up before he thinks there might be a couple surprises. I don't know. That's an awful lot of teams. 15 teams is a lot. I'm going with Private Party just because pushing them with Matt Hardy could be a thing. I think them getting a future opportunity at the tag team gold, and maybe even Matt Hardy helps them out in this match, or Matt Hardy has hired somebody else to help them out in this match. I'm going with Private Party.
Is Pride and Powerful in this match?
I'm going to say probably.
Then that's what I'm going with.
All right.
I like Pride and Powerful, and I think this is their opportunity to come out and have a moment like that. And I think that this is their chance to kind of shine going forward.
Okay.
And Zelina Vega comes out as their manager.
All right. We have Miro and Kip Sabian going against Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor.
Do you really have to ask me who I think is going to win that match? I think we both know I'm going with the team that has Orange Cassidy in it.
I'm going with Miro and Kip Sabian. Just lately, like I have not enjoyed the booking of Orange Cassidy. I don't know if part of that is they put him with Chuck Taylor a lot, and I think Trent Beretta is hurt.
He's out with an injury.
So it doesn't work as well as it did before. And Orange Cassidy, I don't think he's been booked as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with Miro and Kip Sabian here. All right. We have Hikaru Shida going against Ryu Mizunami for the Women's Championship.
Hikaru Shida.
I agree.
I think that I agree with you. I think Britt Baker is going to be the one that eventually takes the title from her.
Yeah. I think the next pay-per-view, or maybe I don't think the next pay-per-view All Out September. Double or Nothing is May.
Yeah. Yeah?
So it might be May.
Woo, that one came from my soul. Jesus Christ.
Not from your hole. All right. Then we have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. The winner of this match will have a future opportunity at the TNT title, which Darby Allin currently holds. We've got Cody Rhodes, Scorpio Sky,
Pentagon Jr.
Yeah, they put the other. Lance Archer, Max Caster, and a TBA. Now, is the TBA this person that Paul White's talking about, or is it somebody completely different?
No, they said that there's two different people that are going to be debuting tomorrow for AEW. And whoever Paul White is bringing in as his big free agent acquisition is not going to be in it. It's somebody completely different that we're not expecting.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, hell, it could be somebody from fucking Impact. Because they've been doing this whole thing with the
Good Brothers and having the talent swap.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara.
I mean, hell, I could see fucking...
Brainless one could be in the match, for all we know.
I'm not there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they don't know that. Yeah? I mean, hell, it could be Marty Scurll because his contract with New Japan didn't even get picked up.
So...
I think that the surprise... Oh, jeez, I don't want to know. I'm trying to figure out who the surprise entrant's going to be.
Well, anyway, my pick for this, the smart pick would be Cody. I'm going to go with Scorpio Sky because I love that dude.
I agree. Unless it's a to be announced. But I don't know who that is. But I think I'd love to see Scorpio Sky get the opportunity. That's what my heart's telling me to go with.
I mean, could it end up being somebody like Kenta? Somebody else? I mean, what if they got
Okada?
What if they got Okada? Supposedly, they in New Japan have at least some sort of agreement.
It could be
Moxley is still
the
United States champion.
Yep.
So there's an ongoing agreement between the two companies.
And I'll tell you right now, the fact that
or Ibushi or Naito, I mean,
there's a lot of people they can have on it. I think that Okada and Naito might be a little too big of a name to be thrown into a TNT title match, but I wouldn't be surprised if Okada came out at the end of the Moxley Omega match. I wouldn't be nothing. Honestly, Jay, after 30 some odd years of watching wrestling, nothing surprises me anymore except for the Big Show coming out at AEW.
Right.
And that fat fuck blocked us on Twitter. That was the only thing that surprised me.
All right, so we have Hangman Page going against Matt Hardy and Money Match.
I'm going to go with our fellow statesman Hangman Page in this one because he is one of my favorites in AEW. So I'm going with Hangman Page. He has been red hot as of late. And I think he's going to go over. And not only that, I think he ends up joining the Dark Order officially.
All right, I agree. Hangman Page wins,
I think
and maybe -1 officially signs him to be the leader of the Dark Order, because the Dark Order don't have a leader right now. All right. Young Bucks going against MJF and Chris Jericho for the tag team titles.
The Bucks. The Bucks, and MJF turns on Jericho.
Okay. I'm going with Jericho and MJF winning this match. Jericho has not been a tag team champion in quite a while. When he came to AEW, they utilized him and his star power to raise the level of AEW, raise the profile of AEW, and I think this could be a next step as far as that goes. And also, just throwing it out there, one of the Young Bucks needs surgery.
Mm-hmm.
This could possibly be a way that they could write them off to have a time to get the surgery and heal, possibly. So I'm going with Jericho and MJF just because.
Okay.
All right, Sting and Darby Allin going against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in Street Fight.
There's no way that
Sting comes back and wins.
Yeah, there's no way that Sting's losing his first match at AEW.
I mean, what do they think they are?
WWE
in WrestleMania 31?
Yeah. Wait, is this be the Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan? Oh, wait, no, Hulk Hogan is not allowed in AEW because he
Brother.
Yeah.
Because of things he said on videotapes.
The best was when they did the whole thing with the AEW restaurant. I fucking lost my shit with that. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
All right. So we have Jon Moxley against the Derp and an exploding barbed wire death match.
Do you want my actual prediction, or do you want what I really want to have happen?
I want you to tell us what you want to have happen.
What I want to have happen is that Kenny Omega's face hits one of those exploding devices and part of his face gets blown off. That's what I want.
Do you want him to be like Harvey Two-Face?
Yes. I don't want him to die. I just want him to look like because that's the only way you're going to improve your dirt face is if you blow off part of your face. I want chaos. Damn it. That's what
You're gonna get chaos from this match. Moxley will do anything to entertain people.
I love Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley in a company where Chris Jericho is, and Orange Cassidy. Jon Moxley's my favorite. At the end of the day, Jon Moxley's my favorite of all the guys in AEW because he is just so damn good. He's so damn entertaining, and he's the craziest motherfucker in that entire company.
Kenny Omega wins this match.
Kenny Omega's going to win this match. And not only does Kenny Omega win this match, Okada makes an appearance after the match.
I think the Good Brothers help him out too.
I still want if he blows off his face.
Is JPP going to be at this thing?
Stop. I'll tell you what. If Kenny Omega blows off part of his face, I'll get my whole chest waxed during live on the podcast. He has to get his whole face blown off though. That's
very dark. Very dark.
Yeah, well, what do you want from me?
That's true.
Are you surprised? All the years that I've known you, are you surprised that's the route I want to go?
No,
Thank you.
You
ask anybody. I mean, I've only been with Nicole for a little more than a year. Do you think she'd be surprised by that?
Nope. All right, so those are our picks for Revolution. Again, that's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock for the pre-show and 8 p.m. for the main show, and that's Eastern Standard Time, so adjust for the time zone you live in.
And beautiful Bobby Eaton will be a surprise man in the 6-man ladder match. Wait a minute, it could be Bobby Eaton, somebody who belongs in the Hall of Fame, somebody who is, hell, we don't know if
he could have been Tony Khan's favorite.
One of his favorites. He never specified if it was WWE or WCW.
Right. I don't think it's going to be Scott Steiner.
Ooh. Somebody who's WWE Hall of Fame caliber, one of Tony Khan's favorites, and a guy who could still wrestle. I can't believe I didn't even think of this until this very moment.
It could be Rob Van Dam. Again, like our RVD's getting old.
He's 48.
I don't want to see like too many older dudes. So like one of the things I saw this week, WWE, when they sign people, are stopping signing people. Like if you're over 30, they have to like make an exception now. They realize that their main event talent is all close to 40 or over 40. So they need to get a younger roster. AEW, as much as they need to have somebody who's established to help, elevate the brand a bit, they've got Jericho there to do that. They've got a couple other dudes there to do that. I don't want to see them pick up somebody older. But
I prefer obviously I prefer Rob Van Dam on WWE on Monday Night Raw, so it could be Rob Van Dam and Matt Riddle, so they could be Team 420. bro. I'm like, yo, let's go to Taco Bell, guys. Woo! I'm gonna blaze it up with you too, Matt Riddle, bro.
This segment sponsored by Taco Bell. Yeah.
Oh, that's such good shit. That was fucking good.
All right. So let's get into our good, bad, and brainless for this week.
Sounds super duper.
Yeah.
So, Cousin Jay, what do you got for your good for this week?
You know what, my good? I'm going with the Shaq this year. I thought he was exceptional in the ring, and not only that, AEW had 1.3 million people tune in.
Yep.
It's clear Shaquille O'Neal moved the needle here.
Yep.
A couple of times AEW has gotten over 1 million people since their initial couple weeks, and Shaq took them well over that number. So good on AEW, good on Shaq.
Chris Brown would like to see RVD and Matt Riddle in a match to see who could get more stoned. Oh yeah, I mean then they could just get Vince Russo and just it could be a blunt wrap on a pole match or a bong on a pole match. I would Jesus Christ, that would be my match of the year if they put a bong on a pole and they had RVD and Riddle.
Apple bong on a pole.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
That they'll have to wait until like that's officially legal in more states.
I would buy 5 subscriptions to Peacock if they gave me Rob Van Dam versus Matt Riddle in a bong on a pole match. But for my good this week, as much as I hated the way that they booked it, my good for this week is Bobby Lashley finally winning the WWE Championship. And the Hurt Business is at its peak, considering where they were about a year ago.
Title,
they have the heavyweight and the tag team titles. And how important MVP is to that faction and how great it is. And Bobby Lashley winning and MVP talking about Bobby Lashley winning and The Rock talking about how important it is that Bobby Lashley is now the WWE champion. I am so happy for Bobby Lashley. The man deserves it. The man has gone through so much, especially in his time with WWE. Considering, didn't they fire his wife or his girlfriend at one point?
I believe that happened. And when he left, nobody ever spoke of it. But like it wasn't clear what happened. The only like allegations out there are that there was somebody behind the scenes who said things that were extremely insensitive, and Lashley was like, "F this! I'm getting the hell out of here."
Was that person Bad Street USA? Possibly.
Yeah,
I figured.
But that's just a rumor. Like nobody's ever actually spoken about it.
But yeah, Bobby Lashley winning the WWE title is my good for this week because it's good. I'm glad he won it.
All right. Bad. My bad for this week. I don't want to see Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, and it appears that this is what we're going to get at WrestleMania. Again, nothing against the performers. I know that Shane will do anything and everything to entertain the fans, but I don't need to see this. Braun should be going against somebody who is a legit threat. Not just be there to get a WrestleMania moment, because that's what Shane's there for.
Right.
Whether it's jumping off the Hell in the Cell for the Undertaker or taking that ridiculous suplex from the Miz.
That was pretty awesome, though.
But those are WrestleMania moments. Right. If they want to make a WrestleMania moment for Strowman. I know Shane will do something stupid.
He's going to jump off the fucking boat, man.
If he gives him a power slam off the pirate ship, they'll set something up down below for them to land on. But if they do something like that can be good. Even so, I don't like the idea of this storyline.
My bad for this week goes to the fact that WWE is giving Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks another tag team title match at Fastlane after they just lost clean in their tag team title match against Baszler and Jax at Elimination Chamber.
It would make more sense if Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai got a match at Fastlane.
I would 100% agree. But it's like, come on, man. It's like, I understand you guys have poorly built this entire division, and you absolutely annihilated one of your more iconic, see what I did there, tag teams in their division. But I'm sorry. I mean, you booked this division so poorly. You have a chance to do something special with it. Granted, it's leading to us probably getting NXT Women's Tag Team titles because they got screwed on NXT. But it's like, why? Why are we getting this match again? Somebody explain that to me.
Probably to build animosity between Bianca and Sasha.
You should have done it in the Elimination Chamber.
I know, but
God damn it,
that's
Vince.
what I'm coming up with.
God damn it, Vince. You and your booking is...
It's such good shit, pal.
Well, anyway, Jay, what's your bad for this week?
My brainless for this week. When we were discussing, Tully Blanchard being in this match, and as much as I'm not completely like going, oh my God, 67-year-old man pins Luchasaurus, I can't believe they did that with how they did it. I'm like going, all right, he ate a spike pile driver. That being said, Tully Blanchard should not be in a match in 2021. Good for him for like still looking decent out there, but no. He shouldn't be getting pins on the Luchasaurus. He shouldn't be getting pinned on any wrestler.
Unless it's Marco Stunt.
Yeah, Marco Stunt is an exception to the rule all the time.
I could pin Marco Stunt.
You could get an AEW title match.
Don't threaten me with a good time, because I'd love to get in the ring with fucking Kenny Omega.
And he'll kick the crap out of you in a barbed wire and death match.
Fuck him. I beat the shit out of Kenny Omega. Because what would happen, he would come out there with a stupid entrance. Kenny Omega cleaner. Fuck you.
Right. Anyway.
My brainless for this week goes to the finish of the women's tag team title match from NXT this week. Why was Adam Pearce there? There was no reason for Adam Pearce to be there. Why did he have to bring a Monday Night Raw referee with him? I just thought it was stupid. It was just poorly done. The fact that the legal person did not why is it somebody like, hey, why didn't somebody else come out? Where was Regal? Where was Regal in all this saying, hey, she wasn't even a legal person who tapped out.
This isn't even a legal referee in NXT.
It was so stupid.
And who's the authority here? Pearce or Regal?
Because Pearce is just, what is Pearce's actual title?
Matchmaker?
William Regal is the general manager of NXT. I mean, even if Johnny Satan had came out there, that would have made more sense than fucking Pearce. When Adam Pearce came out, I was like, oh, there it comes. I'm like, this shit's about to get fucked. And I was right.
Ugh.
And I was so pissed about it. It was absolutely brainless. Although I could have given myself a chance to be brainless again this week, but no.
Yeah.
But I just why, Jay? Why is it? I always talk about how I'm going to kind of steer away from poor WWE booking as being part of my good, bad, and brainless. But yet here we are in week 200 or episode 212 of the F and Marks podcast, and here I am talking about WWE booking once again as my brainless.
Well, I mean, to be fair, is this technically? I don't know.
Somebody had to come up with the idea that the guy who is the authority figure for Raw and SmackDown, who has not even made an appearance at NXT at all,
is all of a sudden an authority figure. Is this like when Fit Finlay decided that he could
put Becky Lynch in the Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
And I like Adam Pearce. I think that Adam Pearce, a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion,
I think he does a good job of being a not overbearing
Yes.
authority figure.
I agree. I like him in the position he's in. He should have been at NXT. He shouldn't have gotten involved. And that's what bothers me, and that's why it's my brainless.
All right.
So if you are a first-time watcher or somebody who is a continuous fan, whether you are Chris Brown, Monsef, or Don't Eat Brown Snow, make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube at the letter T, the letter H, the letter E, the letter F, the letter N, MARKS, the F and Marks. If you like, follow, and subscribe to us on all those outlets, we will do the same back. That has always been our mantra.
Yeah, and we are live every week on the All Elite Marks page. Make sure you set up notifications so that when we go live, that you will be notified. Also, if you feel the need and want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, we have shirts for sale. And if you would like to order a shirt, just email us at thefnmarks@gmail.com. Yeah.
Yeah? Even I don't have one of those cool black T-shirts.
Yeah.
With my wonderful face, with a guy that I would love to see team up with Matt Riddle and call him Team 420.
They could do a scene similar to how many times did they have the Godfather come out of a room where there was smoke coming out of it? Godfather, Riddle, and RVD.
And New Jack. New Jack's got to be there too.
And R-Truth.
My bad.
The GOAT. Anyway, I think that wraps it up.
Wait. There's one more thing, Cousin Jack.
What's that?
It's because today, on March 6th of 2021, at an astonishing 2,232 days, FM Marks Alabama is still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
We need to think about him as a possibility. Did we think about it? He could be a future Hall of Famer. He's a former Intercontinental Champion, a former Tag Team Champion. He was part of... He's still alive in the 2015 Royal Rumble. He's in our Hall of Fame.
He is.
So he is Hall of Fame caliber. I digress. So for episode 212 of the F and Marks podcast,
I'm Jay.
And I am the brainless one. Make sure you mark out
with your guac out and try not to hurt yourself.
Ah! Yeah! Hey, everyone.
Have a good week, everybody. Enjoy Revolution.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to watch me some Coming to America tonight.